Hi, everyone. This is Maria Malik, your corporate speaking coach, executive speaking coach. And I just want to say welcome, everyone. I'm very excited to have you guys all here. And I'm even more excited to talk about today's topic, which is mastering introverted leadership. So, huge topic. And I have a guest for you guys today, Shanee Moret, who is going to be talking to us about all things introversion and, of course, leadership. So before we begin, before we do anything, I would love for you guys just to say hello to me in the chat box. I have it open, and also let me know where you are from. I always love to see kind of where these lives are reaching and who's joining us and who's watching. So do say hi in the chat box and let me know again where you are from. So let's get started. Now, most of you that follow me here are introverts, and you know that most of the content that I post is about introverts. I'm always on the lookout for other introverted leaders in this field on LinkedIn and everywhere. And someone that has always stood out to me, someone that I have personally worked with and have had so much experience with, and is an just amazing human being, yet such a strong leader, is someone here by the name of Shanee Moret. Most of you guys, I'm sure, already know her and are excited to hear from her. So when she agreed to do this collaboration, I was so excited. I was like, yes, let's do it, because I know how busy she is. So I'm so excited to introduce to you guys Shanee. Now, Shanee helps people create content. She helps business owners get their voice out there through video and really help them grow their LinkedIn authority so that their businesses can thrive. But let's bring her on and have her officially introduce herself and tell us more about her. Hi, Shanee. How are you doing?
I'm doing great because I'm with you today. So I'm happy to be here, and I'm happy to be, here sitting with your audience as well. So I'm grateful for that. Thank you.
Of course. And it looks like we have people from all over the world, which is honestly, like, I know it's something so small, but I still love. Like, we have someone right now from Finland. We have Juha from Finland. We have someone from Korea. We have someone from San Diego, India, Egypt. We have someone from North Carolina, Nashville, Texas, which honestly, like, every time I see this, I'm just like, oh my gosh, wow. Like, it kind of freaks me out, especially as an introvert. But thank you again so much, Shanee, for being here. So Shanee, okay, let's start. And of course, I'd love for you to kind of tell everyone more about what you do first before we kind of get into it.
Yeah, so my name is Shanee Moret. If you don't know who I am, I'm the founder of growthacademy.global. And we do what Maria says. We help business owners help their clients. And we do that by really teaching you the skills so that you can build your personal brand long term and build your personal brand in a way that makes you proud. So that's what we do.
Awesome. And Shanee has personally helped me like explode on LinkedIn. So when I first started, when I worked with Shanee, like I was so lost. And when I found Shanee, I was like, oh my God, this is it. This is the person that's going to help me. Boom, boom, boom. Signed up. And within 6 months, my business exploded. My reach here on LinkedIn exploded. I went from 0 to 100,000 followers all within 6 months. So she's amazing, amazing at what she does.
I love it.
So Shanee, let's talk about introversion. First of all, do you think you are an introvert? And if so, why?
Yes, I know 100% I'm an introvert because I think the main kind of litmus test is, where do you get energized? Do you get energized when you're by yourself, or do you get energized when you're surrounded with other people? And I could say that, at least for me, I need to like recalibrate, and I need to get re-energized by myself. So yes, I'm an introvert, 100%.
Awesome. And I think you also just love being home. I can always tell, like, that's like your sanctuary. You enjoy being home. You enjoy spending time alone. You work from home. So that tells me one thing right away.
Yeah, I love it. And it's funny because so many people in my life are extroverts, but I think when you just embrace who you are, it's easier for them to understand, which we'll get into. But yeah, I'm 100% an introvert. And I think that there's strengths that come with that. And I think that accepting that and leveraging your strengths is really the first step.
Absolutely. So, talking about introverts and introverted leaders, Shanee, what would you say are some kind of like misconceptions about introverted leaders and how do you feel like they can be dispelled? Because obviously you lead a team, you've been doing this for a long time, so I'm sure you have a lot of experience with that. So what would you say are some common misconceptions, and what can introverted leaders do about them?
I think the first misconception is that if you're an introverted leader, you're kind of always in the background. And that's not the case. So a lot of times people, because of the personal brand that I've personally built, and I'm sure you get this too, Maria, they assume that just because you have visibility or you have a forward-facing brand, that you're an extrovert. And so I think that's one. The second thing is that maybe introverts aren't leaders, and that's like a huge one. And then I think that the third one could be introverts can't lead with extroverts or can't lead extroverts, don't know how to communicate with them. And I think that's probably the third one.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Especially, I think just the fact that, okay, actually, I wanted to share something with you. So I post a lot. I'm always out there on LinkedIn. And in the beginning, used to get a lot of messages from people saying, "You're not an introvert." And I was like, "Oh, thank you for telling me who you think I
What?
am." And they're like, "You're not an introvert. You're all over LinkedIn." And I'm like, okay. It's not, and what's your point? Like, I know I can shut this off, go sit down on my bed, open a book, and it's like, it's bliss for me. So I know that a lot of people do feel like, hey, if you're an introvert, like you're not going to be out there. And I think you would agree with this, Shanee. Like, it's not easy for us. I don't think it's easy for us to be putting out content. It is a little bit outside of our comfort zone, but we're still doing it because this is
Yes.
our passion and we want to be able to reach a lot of people and help people. So just a little note about that. But can you, Shanee, share like a personal story about maybe a challenge that you faced as an introverted leader and how you overcame it?
Yeah. Well, I think one of them that is more recent, I'll give you two because it depends on the stage of where someone is that's
Share like
listening
a
to
personal
this,
story
right?
about maybe a challenge that you. Sorry, that's me.
Maria's destroying the live.
Me. Of course, it had to be me.
No, see, that's funny. So the first one is I think that as an introvert, if you want more in your life, let's say you're more in the beginning of your professional career or you want to start a business, you have to accept that you're going to have to take certain risks. And part of taking those risks is maybe posting and making yourself vulnerable to judgment. The second thing could be maybe letting go of the friends that make you comfortable and getting around new people. So, going to networking events and having at least one extroverted friend helps with that because they can bring you along. So, I think you have to really decide, are you comfortable with where you are now? And if you are an introvert, you have to learn when and how to be kind of more extroverted to get yourself out there in the beginning. If you're more in an established place in your career, the most recent decision for me was you could stay a solopreneur with some VAs and build a very successful business,
Mhm.
especially with AI, or do you build a team, right? Do you decide to build a team together? Do you decide to bring on partners? And for me, you know, the vision is greater than my personal desires and my comfortability. And I think that that's important. So I could have easily stayed solo and comfortable and done very well. But because I want to reach more people and because that matters to me more, I get uncomfortable. I take risks. I put myself out there in different ways, even behind the scenes in business. So, yeah, that's a recent example.
Yeah, and I agree with you on that. So even though like it seems like I'm sure to people it looks like I have a whole team behind me, but it's just me and my assistant. Like that's it. It's just us two. Sometimes I'll work with like a video editor because my editing skills are horrible. But other than that, like this is how I like it. Like I can't imagine having like a huge team, but I know eventually I will have to do that if I want to keep growing. So you're already at that stage. You're already managing a team.
And you've seen it, Maria. You saw the progression the last few
Mhm.
years. And so that's a most recent example for me.
Okay, awesome. I love that. I would honestly love to like be in a meeting one day where I'm just watching you like do your thing in front of like your your coworkers and like the people that work for you, because for me it's so fascinating. And anytime I see an introverted leader versus like an extroverted leader, I can first of all right away point out which person is which, and the way that they lead is so different. But for me, like I love seeing introverted leaders. Of course, I'm a little bit biased about that.
How can you tell that? What are some signals for you that
Great
someone's an
question.
extrovert leader?
Great question. I think number one, it's the energy, first of all. So I think the extroverts kind of come in with that higher energy and they're walking around, they're moving a little bit more. Whereas I feel like introverts, they come in with that more calm energy. So right away, it changes the environment of the room. But either way, I feel like they both can lead very well. Me personally, like I know everyone likes different leadership styles. For me personally, I like that calm approach. If someone can walk into that room and help me feel calm, but still feel like, hey, this person knows what they're talking about. I can put my trust in them. This person is a leader and they're not going to lead us, astray, and we're going to be okay. I think for me, that is so important. So that's one of the things I noticed. I think another thing I really notice is introverted leaders, they will ask more questions and sit there and listen and really observe like what you're saying, versus an extrovert, they'll ask a question and they just can't wait to like give you the answer. And they're just like, okay, so this is what I think. So that's another big difference that I've noticed. And I've been working with a lot of introverted leaders, especially as of late. I've had this one client of mine that was like, I go into a room and he's the one leading a team, right? And he said to me that I'm the one leading a team, and I walk in and everyone is talking, talking, talking. He's like, when I walk in, people kind of keep talking. And whereas I've noticed that other extrovert leaders, when they walk in, that person will walk in and the whole team will kind of go quiet. So he's like, I feel like that kind of tells me right away too, like, okay, everyone is more comfortable around me and maybe doesn't feel like, oh, this is like that type of leader we should be a little bit afraid of. I feel like with introverted leaders, your team kind of feels a little bit more like, oh, this is just like our friend, or this is just someone part of the team. And they don't have like that level of like, not, I don't want to say respect. They do still respect introverted leaders, but it is a little bit more of like that fear, if you know what I mean and what I'm talking about. Have you ever
No,
experienced that?
that's actually interesting. I think that sometimes as an introvert, your silence or like your tendency to be more quiet can actually make you seem like make people fear you in a way that they shouldn't, because people make a lot of assumptions. So if you aren't as welcoming as you should be with someone that may need that, they may think like, oh, this leader doesn't care about me, or this leader doesn't like my work, or this. So I've actually had to work on that, because sometimes being quiet or just being in your head as a leader, a lot of people can make false assumptions.
That's very true.
Does that make sense?
Yes. And I like what you said about that quiet power. I do also think that sometimes like you just showcasing that calmness, that quietness, and having people look at you and know that, hey, this is like a powerhouse right here. Or this person can speak and really command that room. And they don't have to be the one speaking all the time. And I'm a big believer in that. I don't think in order to be a leader, you have to be speaking all the time. You can sit there in silence and have people kind of look at you and know, okay, this is still a leader, but this person doesn't need to have that attention on them 24/7.
And on the flip side, because Shankar, let's take Shankar for example. I think like he's someone that a lot of extroverts can learn from,
Mhm.
because he can enter a room and seem super zen. Of course, that's basically because he's been practicing all of that since he was born, like his mom's into it and stuff. So
Okay.
he has that advantage, but he's an extrovert. So it's almost like he can be calm, but still feel the communication where other people on the team may not have room for those false assumptions, or think, like he's very communicative. So I think that if as an extrovert, if you feel that your team may have that downside of, oh, you enter a room and you bring this type of energy, your upside is that you could communicate. So if you could bring that calm energy and that communication, I think that that's a really good match. Does that make
Yeah,
sense?
absolutely. Yes, of course. Makes perfect sense. Okay, so next question for you, Shanee. What strategies do you recommend for introverted leaders to effectively communicate and influence their teams?
I think you need to get to know people, number one. And I think that I told Maria that recently I started gardening, right? And it's actually fascinating because every plant needs a certain type of environment to flourish in. And so I'll use this metaphor. And you don't really know what the environment that the plant needs to flourish in is until you actually do research on the plant. So you're either asking someone that knows, or in my case, sometimes going to ChatGPT or whatever. And if you know that this species of plant or this type of plant flourishes in the sun, and this is what they need, and this is when they flourish during these times of the years, during the year, then it would be almost detrimental to the plant, to the garden, to the goal to not put them in that right environment. So you can't know what someone needs until you get to know them. And I think that that also can't be in one day, right? It's gradual. You have to show up. You have to kind of earn their trust and get to know them, and then put them in the right, environments where they flourish.
Yeah, I
Does that
love that.
answer your question?
Yes, absolutely. And what I was actually thinking about is that this is something I would expect an introvert to say, because I don't
I
think
know, I feel like all the answers I'm giving you are not usually what people say.
exactly. And this is why I wanted you here, because I knew that, I get like a completely different perspective versus me when I ask extroverted leaders this type of stuff. So I love extroverted leaders. I think they have their own kind of superpower, but I don't think that they sit there and think, hey, how can I help this person flourish? Like how can I water this plant? You know what
Yeah.
I mean? I feel
Yeah,
like
and
they're more just
I think as an introvert, your upside is that you probably observe a lot. So you may see a lot of things in between the lines that people don't actually communicate to an extroverted leader or to you, that could reveal like the type of environment or the type of schedule or the type of rewards that that person needs to really kind of feel safe on the team, and to want to grow on the team. So use your power, and part of that is observation.
absolutely. I think that's one of the biggest superpowers. I myself do find that I do that a lot, where anytime I have to do something new, before I get into it, and I feel like extroverts will be like, all right, let's go, let's see what happens. I will sit there for days and days and watch, how do other people do this? How does this person do that? And like just observe, observe. And then, but when I'm ready, then I go like 100% in. And I think the beauty with that is it's almost like you're coming in so much more experience, even though it's not real experience, but you're learning from other people. So I think that's what kind of makes whatever we produce or whatever we do a little bit more stronger. You
And
get better.
I've witnessed that from Maria firsthand. She's like, Shanee, I'm ready for the next surge.
Yeah,
She'll
yeah,
go all
exactly.
in on something, but you really do. You're calculative. You do your research. You prepare, and you almost brace yourself for the type of extroversion and energy and input that you're gonna have to put in. That's going to be required for you to fulfill that goal. So.
Mhm. I'll give you another example, like right now. So me being an introvert, so I just purchased like a YouTube course and I'm watching the course. So I finished the whole course, I watched it, and I was like, okay, should I start? And I'm like, no, wait. I start watching it again. I'm like, let me give it one more like shot, make sure I understand everything. Versus like, my partner who also he's like in Amazon and everything. So he's working with a coach, and as soon as he started working with the coach was like, okay, do X, Y, Z. And he's already like online doing stuff like boom, 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 and more extroverted. So two very different things. Like I will sit there, I will absorb. I'm like, okay, can I do this? And the other thing is I had to mentally prepare myself for, okay, this is the time I'm going to do it. Right now, I don't have the mental capacity. I don't have the energy. So I have to really compartmentalize things and make sure that when I tackle something, I'm going in with it full force. And I know there's nothing else I have to do because all my energy is going to be used up in that area.
Yeah, I love it. And then I know you're going to crush on YouTube.
I'm so excited. I have to share so much with you about YouTube. Okay, so one thing that I have personally noticed with everyone that I've worked with and myself, I'm sure you've experienced this too, introverts don't really like high pressure environments because we like to take our times. So Shanee, what would you recommend to introverted leaders for them to, like, if they're in a situation like that, that's very high pressure, what can they do to maintain their confidence and maintain their leadership, like respect and aura at that time? What should they do? Because I'm sure those are things that will come up.
Yeah. So I think an introvert can flourish in a type of high pressure environment that they really want to be in. So I think the first step here is to really decide, is this where you want to be? And not because of the high pressure, but maybe because of the type of high pressure or the people or whatever. That's the first thing. The second thing is that I think as introverts sometimes, at least I'm speaking for myself, right? I don't want to speak for everyone. Sometimes we ask for help too late. So that's the second thing, is maybe look around you and say, well, who do I trust? Who can I ask for help? It could be even more support on your home side. Like, hey, I need this ready in the morning so that I could focus on this, so that it could relieve some of the pressure. Or, hey, I can't take the kids to school this week. Whatever it is, it could be the tiniest things. So I think almost like try to remove pressures in other places. So like all of your energy can be focused on the high pressure situation. And then the third thing is, try to just lock in for a certain period of time. Like I said, surge, right? And maybe it's 4 weeks, maybe it's 6 weeks, but if you really lock in and give it your all during that time, that high pressure situation should alleviate itself to a certain extent. And then have a plan for relief, whether, daily that's going to the gym or meditating or eating right or hydrating. And then maybe it's a staycation at the end of that surge. That's really what's worked for me. But I could tell you this, one of the most important things is being where you really want to be, working with who you really want to work with. And if you're not there yet, then understanding that you're going to have to go through a period of quote unquote pain or whatever until you get to that position. But having a plan to get there is number one.
Yeah, I agree. That's great. That's
I
actually
feel like
really,
I'm not answering any of these questions.
no, you're doing great. I'm so intrigued because, like I said, I don't personally run a team myself. So I'm thinking about these things like, what are some things I need to do when I do eventually get a team? And I like what you said right now about you can choose who you want to work with.
Yeah, because Maria, if I said Maria, we have this opportunity right now to travel 500 miles in the next whatever hour, and we're going to save the world. You would be like, yes, let's go. We're going to save the world. You're bought in, but that's because you would want to actually save the world. And then the pressure almost becomes exhilarating, right?
Yeah, of
So I
course.
think the first step is, if the high pressure environment is really sucking and draining all of your energy, there's a reason for it. There's a reason why it doesn't excite you.
Yeah, of course. I think that is a big one. You have to love what you do, especially as introverts. I feel like extroverts can sometimes wing it, whereas we, like you said, we have to be a bit more calculated. Do we like this? Do we not like this? We only have so much energy. So you want to exert it in the right place. So that makes total sense. I love that. It's awesome. Now, Shanee, okay, most of the people that I work with, so half of them are already in leadership roles, and the other half are trying to get into leadership roles. And before I get into that, actually, I was reading a study recently, and traditionally, 50% of the population in the US is introverted and 50% is extroverted.
That's
But
interesting.
yeah, crazy, right? But as you look at the corporate ladder, the higher up you go, there are more and more introverts, to the point where when you get to C-suite, CEOs, and everything, there are only about 1 or 2% of leaders are introverted, which is an insane number to me. And I think this is why I even like started why I started, because I want to see more introverted leaders in those type of roles. So what advice do you have that you feel like introverts who are hesitant to step into those leadership roles, like what should they do? Should they still go for it? Do you think there's like a path that they should take? How do they compete with more extroverted personalities to get to those roles? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. So I'll answer this question by saying, like, there was a study around luck and, like, does luck really exist? And they did this study, and basically what they found was that the luckiest people, part of why they get so lucky is because they talk to more people, right? They open doors more, they say hi more, they ask for more things of like their second and third degree connections, or they keep in touch with them more. So when a job opportunity opens, they're referred more, or they're referred to more business opportunity more. And I think as an introvert, we can get complacent with the relationships that we give our time, attention, and energy to. And I think that's where extroverts can really, really leverage their strengths. So I would really I think if more introverts put their time, attention, and energy into developing trust with more of the right people, then that number would skyrocket.
Yeah, I really like that. I know, and that's like probably the hardest thing to do. Like I can go into a room of like 50 people. Like I'll give you an example. I've started like a workout class, so it's like a group session, and there's at least like 50 people. I've been in there almost, I would say 7 weeks. I have not talked to one person. No.
Maria.
And then my partner, who also goes with me, he's made like 6 friends already. They've added each other on LinkedIn, and they're like, "Hey,
and then he'll get a business deal from it, or he'll get a JV opportunity from it." But it's not because he has these superpowers; it's just because he's talked to more people.
Exactly. So I was just thinking about that. I'm like, wow, yeah, that's totally me. Like I don't know one person in there. I go in, I do my thing, and I leave, and I'm like running out like before somebody tries to talk to me.
Yeah. So maybe the challenge for all the introverts listening, and this includes myself, is maybe say hello to at least one new person in a day. Because if they're an extrovert, all you really have to do is say hello, and they'll take care of the rest.
That is true. I feel like extroverts are just waiting for somebody to talk to them, and they're like, "Oh, hey, yeah, let me tell you more." But I'm gonna take you up on that, and I'm gonna start doing that. I'm going to make it a mission to talk to someone, even if I'm just waiting at a Starbucks line or something, to say hi, and I'll report back and let you know how that goes. Hopefully, it's good stuff. All right, Shanee, last question for you. So let's say people have figured out, okay, I'm an introvert, I'm an introverted leader, I've gone into that role. How do you kind of sustain that, and how do you better like support and nurture the strengths of your introverted nature to make sure that it doesn't kind of come in the way, or it doesn't stop you from continuously moving up in the corporate ladder? So essentially, how do you make sure you don't get in your own way as an introverted?
So I think like leveraging your self-awareness as an introvert is very important. And if you feel stuck, or if you feel like you should be going up the corporate ladder more, you have to really look at, well, who have you talked to lately? Like, have you said hi to new people? Have you gone to the networking events at your work that you probably should have gone to? Are you being proactive in developing relationships with the higher ups, or with business partners, or whatever? And if the answer to that is no, then the answer to your question then, or the plan then becomes, well, how can you actually start to do that now? Because it's like one day at a time, one conversation, one relationship. And it's really, we have to understand that our relationships really will determine a lot of the outcomes in our life. And so we have to be proactive in building and fostering that trust with people. And that's where I think extroverts got us beat, right? Look just at the example of the gym. Look, and that's just compounded all across.
That is so true. This is why I'm so happy to have you here.
He's going to get a business partner, 5 deals, and it's just because he talks to people in the class.
Exactly. I'm going to start doing that. That's it. No more. Okay, I have to start doing this now. But Shanee, anything we have not talked about today that you feel like, hey, this is something I would really want introverted leaders to know? Because like I said, most of my following is introverted, and a lot of them are now getting into leadership roles, or I am now the content that I'm creating, and I've kind of changed my coaching style, and I'm working more with introverted leaders, which, by the way, is a complete game changer. Like, I'm learning so much from them, and the things that I'm seeing and the challenges that I'm seeing that they're facing, it's insane. But at the same time, I can see how brilliant and smart they are. So definitely I'm in a great place right now, especially in terms of the people that I'm helping. But going back to my question, anything else you feel like we haven't talked about that you'd want introverted leaders to know?
Yeah, just, I think that having a few extroverted best friends or business partners or just colleagues really, really can open doors for an introvert. Like, if you build relationships with them, they're going places, they have this network, they're always going to be inviting you to new opportunities or introducing you to new people. And so, with 3 to 5 of really great extroverts around you, I mean, the opportunities are kind of delivered to you. And so I think that building strategic relationships and best friends and all of that with extroverts is important. Don't just hang out with people like you, because you're going to stunt your growth. So.
Okay, that's good. Okay, this just made me think about something, because me as an introvert, if an extrovert approaches me, I'm just like, oh my gosh, this person is so high energy. Yes, I love it. But how do you feel extroverts feel when they come and approach an introvert? Do you think that they think, oh, this person's just boring, why isn't this person coming out? Or
I
just
think they feel bad for us. or that we're shy. Like, I feel like
yeah.
they want to include you, and they may see that you're a little bit shy. At least that's been my experience. Usually they'll just think I'm shy, or they won't really know what I'm doing there. They'll just ask a question and be a little bit persistent and start a conversation. So I think that that's it. Like, something about you caught their attention and they want to know more, or they feel bad for you or want to include you.
Okay, that makes sense. So one last question, Shanee.
I don't know. We have to ask an extrovert.
I know, right? We should. One day we should do like a live with an extroverted leader and an introverted leader, and I should interview both and see, like, compare the answers.
Yeah.
But Shanee, you have worked with hundreds and hundreds of people, and I'm sure you have introverts in there and you have extroverts. What's the difference that you notice with the way that they show up on just LinkedIn? Or I think most of the people you work with are founders and are in more senior level roles. Is there a difference that you notice between both and how they approach their work and their teams and how they communicate?
Yeah, I think that if the introvert is very self-aware, like in your case, I mean, you're one of my greatest success stories. So actually, I have my top 2 success stories are you and Christopher Hummel. Christopher Hummel has almost 1 million followers, extreme extrovert, okay, like a huge team, and you are a very, very successful founder. Maybe you'll build a team one day, but you knew exactly what you wanted, and you were willing to do the work, and so was he. So I think if the introvert is self-confident enough to do the work, to take risks and trust whatever coach or expert they have in their corner, then the sky's the limit. That's number one. But sometimes on the flip side, like the downside of an extrovert is that they could overestimate themselves. So they'll be like, I'm going to crush, I'm going to dominate this, and then they could kind of run out of gas a little bit faster than they thought. So on their side, if they're organized, they know exactly what they want. I mean, their results could skyrocket because they're not afraid to get on calls. They're not afraid to DM people. They're a little bit less fearful of rejection, and they're willing to take more risks. So I think it really just comes down to self-awareness. Does the person know what they want? Are they willing to do the work to get there?
Okay, that makes sense. That kind of reminds me of myself. When I first did my first ever sales call, I didn't even turn my camera on. I was so embarrassed. I was just like,
yeah, but you were willing to take that risk.
Yeah, exactly. But I do have to connect with him, and because if he's an extrovert, and I would love to kind of see his growth and everything he did. But yeah, Shanee, this was awesome. This was really good, and I'm so happy that I brought you on here. Sorry.
I love it, Maria. Thank you.
Yeah,
I'm
of course.
very grateful. And for everyone, that's listening, like being an introvert, never see it as a weakness. Just it's kind of like a game. Just you were dealt these cards, you have to play your deck. And your deck has strengths and you're strategic and you have self-awareness. Leverage it and don't try to be something that you're not. It really just comes down to that.
Exactly. I do get questions from people that say, hey, how can I be more extroverted? And I'm like, first of all, why? Why do you want to be more extroverted? And second of all, you can't. Like you said, you can't change yourself. It's not just like, okay, a flip of a switch or something. Instead, take what you already have, like Shanee said, and amplify it. And that will still get you to your success and to help you reach your goals. So I love that you said that, Shanee. Be yourself. It's still possible. And this is what I teach my clients too when I'm working with them. We're not trying to turn you into extrovert. We're taking what you already have and make it better. That's it.
Yeah, exactly. I love it. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Thank you, everyone listening. If you have questions, put them in the comments and I'll try to answer as many as possible. Thank you, Maria. Follow Maria. Yeah, subscribe to her YouTube channel. She's amazing. If you're an executive listening, I don't recommend any other executive speaking coach. So God bless you. Ciao.
Thank you so much, Shanee. And if you are someone that wants to be a better communicator, if you want to build a brand here on LinkedIn, then Shanee is a person that you want to follow. Like I said, she has helped me tremendously grow my LinkedIn. She's helped me be better on camera, all of that stuff. So do connect with Shanee. And I think you guys will learn so much from her. She produces so much content. She puts out so much free stuff. Even if you don't work with her, you will still get so much value from just following her and taking advantage of all the content that she creates. So I want to thank you guys all so much for being here. Again, do let me know in the chat box if you enjoyed this. Let me know what stood out to you. Let me know if you are an introverted leader. If you are, do follow Shanee as well, you guys. It's great to see other introverted leaders thrive and do all these amazing things out there. So do follow her, connect with her. You guys, we need more introverted leaders. Like, I don't know how else to say this. Like, I want to see more introverted leaders out there in the world, in the corporate world, in the business world, everywhere. So let's get together and make that happen. If you're an introvert, you are thinking of taking things to the next level, trust me, you can do it. If I can do it, if Shanee can do it, then you can do it as well. You could be your own boss. You could lead teams. You can move up the corporate ladder. You can do it all. It's just a matter of harnessing your superpower, which you already have, and amplifying it. Okay. So again, thank you so much for joining me, you guys. I really, really enjoyed this. Do say hello to me in the chat box. Send me a DM with your thoughts. I always love checking my DMs. I try to respond to as many as possible. So I will see you guys next time, next week. I have another live for you coming up where I'll be teaching you guys a couple of different things. So do stay for that. I'm going to be posting about it shortly. Okay. So thank you, everyone. Have a fantastic Saturday.